Hi, I'm Mark, and I'll be demonstrating how to set up the MPVS Duo and LabChart for PV recordings in small and large animals using the admittance method. Connect all the hardware as per the video entitled MPVS Duo Hardware Setup for the admittance method. Make sure you have installed LabChart and the PV Loop 2.6 module. Switch on the MPVS Duo by pressing the On button on the MPVS Duo keypad. Start LabChart. Close the Welcome Center. Click on Setup and Channel Settings. Reduce the number of channels to 4 and name Channel 1 Pressure, Channel 2 Volume, Channel 3 Phase, and finally Channel 4 Magnitude. Click on OK. Once the MPVS Duo has initialized and with the catheter connected, press 1 to start a new PV loop protocol, and then again on 1 to select admittance. You will now be prompted to soak the catheter for 30 minutes. If the catheter has already been soaking for 30 minutes, you can press forward arrow to go to the calibration screen. In LabChart, select the PV loop menu and select Workflow. If this is grayed out, check that the Enable PV Loop Workflow item is checked under the Workflow Mode menu item in the PV Loop menu. This will open the workflow window on the left. First select the workflow. In this case, it's MPVS Duo admittance. Next, select the channels in the LabChart designated for pressure, volume, phase, and magnitude. These should correspond to the channels connected to the MPVS Duo unit. Once all selected, a green check mark will appear next to the Setup PV Loop item in the workflow. Now go to the next item in the workflow list, namely Duo Channel Calibration. Select the type of catheter you'll be using. The list allows for rat, mouse, a series of ventricath, and manual. Manual is used if you want to enter values from scratch. In this example, I'll use the rat catheter. It is suggested to use actual voltage values from the MPVS Duo, as there could be variation between systems. To do this, start LabChart. Then on the Duo, press 1 to go to the low voltages screen. Next, press 0 to output this to LabChart. Record for a couple of seconds and then press the left arrow on the Duo to go back to the calibration screen. Next, press 2 to go to the high voltages screen. Again, press 0 to output this to LabChart. Then the left arrow again to go back to the calibration screen. Stop the recording in LabChart. Now for the pressure channel, select the region of LabChart just before and then just after where you can see the data jumped when the high calibration data was recorded. Add these to the pressure calibration boxes, one for 0 mm of mercury and one for 100 mm of mercury, as demonstrated here. Repeat this for the remaining 3 channels. Do not forget to check the Apply Calibration checkbox for each. All 4 channels are now calibrated. On the Duo, press the forward arrow to move to the Balance Pressure screen. Next, press on 1 to balance the pressure sensor in the PV catheter. Press 1 to zero the pressure. The current reading on the Duo should drop to 0, as it does in LabChart. Stop LabChart. Now press the back arrow on the Duo to go back to the balance pressure sensor screen. Next, press the forward arrow to move to the calibration parameter screen. Enter the values for muscle, stroke volume, and blood resistivity. These values can be found in the literature and through actual measurements. Please see the manual for more details. Next, in LabChart, move to the sampling section of the workflow. Click on Start Sampling. On the Duo, press the forward arrow to move to the Optimize Catheter Position screen. Introduce the catheter into the ventricle. For small animal catheters, only one segment selection is available. For large animal catheters, make sure you select the segment with a size suitable for the animal's ventricle. To do this, press 1, and then the segment number and OK to select. Please see the manual for more information on the segments. A low-pass filter can also be switched on in this screen by pressing 5. Once the catheter position is optimal, with phase and magnitude being within the specified range as shown in the manual, the forward arrow button on the Duo can be pressed to move into experimental mode. Once in experimental mode, the experiment protocol can be followed to record baseline and occlusion data to calculate load-independent parameters such as ESPVR and EDPVR. Once the experiment has been completed, stop recording and check the box for sampling complete in the sampling section of the PV workflow. Now the data is ready to be analyzed using the analysis section. You can now analyze your baseline and occlusion data.